Hey, hey, friends! I hope life is treating you so very well today. I am, as always, excited to be in the downstairs kitchen because that means I'm going to whip up some sort of tasty treat. And today is going to be a nostalgic candy. Hey, welcome to the channel. My name's Angela and I'm the Inquisitive Farm Wife. If you're new here, I am so glad to see you. Make sure you go ahead and push that thumbs up if you like the video. If you're not already subscribed, you want to do all that, all the things, because I want you to be part of the Farm Wife fam. Today's video is part of the Cookies and Candies Collaboration. So it is a collaboration where I gathered 5 or 7, I think maybe, of us that are getting together, and each day we're going to put out, for the first week, last week, if you were here with us, we put out all cookie recipes, and then this week is all candies recipe. So there will be each day there is a new channel that'll be putting that out, but it's also an open collaboration where we're encouraging all of you to share your favorite cookies and candies recipes too, so we can all be inspired of what delicious, yummy goodness we want to make this winter season. So today we are going to be making something that I haven't made in 5, maybe even 10 years. It is a jelly nougat candy. It is an old-fashioned candy. I remember going to the grocery store with my grandma, and Brock's would have this section and you could pick out different candies. You'd have the hard barrel root beer candies, and you'd have the coconut candies that had the white, pink, and brown, and oh gosh, there was maybe some flavored caramels, and there was also this white with little colorful jelly type pieces of candy in it. It is a nougat, as is what they call it, and that is what we're going to make today. And it couldn't be any easier. There's only 4 ingredients. You need marshmallows. You need jelly candies. You need either almond bark or those little chocolate discs, or even white chocolate. Any of those will work just fine. And then you need some butter. And that's it. That's all you need, folks. So the candies that I chose to use today, I've cut them in little pieces. The kind I had were called Chuckles, and they're a very delicious, soft jelly candy that are coated in sugars. This is the first time I'm going to be using those, so this will be interesting. We're going to be a little cautious because I think they'll melt a little faster. I would suggest, if you're a newbie, to get what's called Dots. They're a hard jellied candy, and they don't have the sugar coating on them. I don't think it's going to cause us any issues, but I'm really excited to give it a try because I bought them and they don't freeze dry, and this is a great way I can use them other than eating them. So the first thing I want to do is tell you I am making a double batch today because I'm actually wanting to make a bunch of candy so I can bag it up and have it available in I want several bags of them. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and make a double batch. So you'll probably want to make half this amount, and you'll want to put it in a 9 by 13 pan. And what I have here is a big cake pan that a lot of times you'll see at like weddings and graduations, and you put 2 to 3 cake mixes in them. So that's the pan we're going to use today. And the first thing, I have a huge sheet of parchment paper, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to spray the pan, and I'm going to spray it really well with a non-stick spray, so that if anything slips out of it, then it's going to be non-sticks for sure. And then I've got this parchment that I had kind of folded the corners and things, but by having sprayed it, we're going to be able to get in there and get this to stick and not move on us when we have that hot, because we are going to be cooking this, and so it'll get really, really hot. And I'm going to get as many of these air bubbles out as I can, just to make sure that it's nice and flat to the surface. You can choose to cut your parchment, but I have found that if you work with it, you can fold it and get it to kind of lie in place, and I think you'll be perfectly fine. You can see that. And then just so we don't have problems with this, we're going to go ahead and we're going to spray the top of the parchment also. So now that everything is sprayed really well, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start my makeshift double broiler. So what you do is you take a pot and you put water in it, and then you put another pot inside of it. And this is what we're going to use as our melting vessel, because my microwave that I have in this kitchen is very small and I'm making a double batch. And so I really don't think I want to try to do this in the microwave. But you at home, what you would do, what is the ingredients that I'm putting in here on the stovetop and what I'm doing on the stove, you would do it in your microwave. 1 minute, stir, 1 minute, stir, 1 minute, stir, until it gets to the consistency that you need it to be. But for me today, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the double boiler method. So whether you use the Dots candy or whatever, before you really get started, it's nice to go ahead and have those chopped up. And you're going to want, let's see, 2 to 3 cups of jelly pieces. It's up to you how much you want to put in there. And I have about 6, maybe even a little bit more. And then if you're not using the white chocolate chips, you're going to go ahead and take these, all the almond bark, or even if you get the little melting discs, and kind of chop it up, especially if you use the microwave method, because you're going to want them in smaller pieces. It's just going to melt a little bit easier for you. And then into the pot, all of your chocolate will go. For each batch that you make, I'm making a double batch, so I'm going to use twice as much. You need 10 ounces, a 10-ounce bag of marshmallows. Well, the ones that I'm using today happen to be 8-ounce bags, and so I'm going to use 3 bags. I'm going to have a little bit extra marshmallow. I'm also having a little bit extra of the gummies, I think, too. But these are kind of a medium size. They're not the big ones, and they're not the small ones. And normally I would use the small ones, and I would use chocolate chips, and it would go so much faster. And that's yet another reason why I want to use the double broiler, because you can kind of control that a little bit. And what you want to do is you just want to make sure that you're keeping an eye on it, and you don't want it to burn, because it doesn't take long at all for chocolates or even marshmallows to burn or scorch. If you wanted, you could actually cut these marshmallows a little bit smaller. If you get the large ones, I would suggest that you do exactly that. Now, these are a peppermint marshmallow, just for fun for the season, but I honestly don't get a peppermint flavor out of them, so that's a little bit disappointing. But I had bought them, and that's what we're going to be using today. This is kind of reminiscent of making Rice Krispie treats, because I also need to add in the butter. So Rice Krispie treats don't have the chocolate, but they have the marshmallow and the butter that melt together. And a single batch calls for 2 tablespoons of butter. So of course I'm going to be using 4 today. And again, all I'm doing is just going to keep an eye on this, and once it gets smooth and melty, then we'll be ready for the final step. While we're waiting on this to melt and get ready for us to proceed, I thought I would go ahead and talk to you a little bit about when I was chopping the gummy pieces. I just used a scissor, so I cut it into about, I think it was about 6 pieces. So if you use the dots, then you only really need to cut them in half, because you're going to be cutting on this again when you cut it into the individual bite pieces, which we'll be doing tomorrow. I'll be back for that part. But I wanted to give you that tip that, a pair of scissors works really well for that application, or scissors or a knife and cutting board like we did the chocolate, whatever works for you. Okay, so I've been mixing and stirring and mixing and stirring, and I've about got it here. Let's see. Whoops. I've about got it all completely incorporated. And let's remember that it is pink because of the marshmallows that I used. So I'm going to take it off the double burner here. Woo! And I'm just going to push it down and squish it till I've got it all incorporated. And this is so hard for me. I mean, it's a stiff stuff. If you're like me and you like to use your hands, I have some, these are actually insulated. Like they have, see, on the inside. And these are the kind of gloves that I like to use for when I do cheese making. And so what I'm going to do is, oh yeah, I'm going to almost knead it like dough. Okay, so there's our mass. I'm going to spread it out. And I'm going to put our candy pieces, all of them in there. If you want to save some of them and have them for the top, you can. And I'm just going to fold that in there like you would inclusions for bread. Like I said, only if you have these gloves though. This is just going to ensure that I've got everything evenly dispersed and all that. But it's going to seize up on me, so we got to get it in this pan. So we're going to plop that out right there, and then I'm going to press it out. Now, if you don't have the gloves on like I do, what I'm going to suggest that you do is to spray a second piece of parchment and put on top of it. There you go. Now you can see. I just kind of want to make sure this is as even as possible. I mean, we're going to cut these into little individual pieces anyway. I'm just using a little hand strength, and I'm pushing this in here. And here's what you do if you don't have the gloves like I do. Whoops, that is slick. I'm going to spray the parchment. There, I took my gloves off so I can show you doing it by hand. And if that's too hot for you, put on a glove. Put on a glove. I can take a lot of heat. And that parchment actually kind of helps make it have a flat surface. You know, you're kind of losing some of those little handprints. And then this is all we have to do for today. I'm just going to leave this and let it cool. You can put it in your fridge if you want, but I'm going to leave it out on the counter until tomorrow. It'll probably be, well, more than 12 hours, 18 to 24 hours. And then we will come back together and we'll cut this and I'll show you what it looks like. Might do a little taste test. I don't know. So as I got busy cleaning everything up and, you know, washing all the pans and everything, I was thinking about, I really probably should have brought you along more in the process of watching it melt and watching all that happen and how to kind of know when it was done. But basically you just stir every like 5 minutes and let it incorporate well. But I really don't think you should even bother with doing it on the stovetop. It almost got really annoying for me, to be honest. I got very frustrated with it. It was taking way too long. It was supposed to be a quick project. It was my fault for doubling it. So use your microwave. It will take about 5 minutes total in the microwave max, depending on your microwave and what you have your settings at. But you just do it in 1 minute increments and it goes so much faster and everything just melts a little more evenly. I'm a little disappointed. I think the sugar has come up and is making that liquid on top. And I think part of it also is there might be a little bit of the mint oil in the marshmallows. I'm not sure. We'll see tomorrow what we end up with, but I just wanted to step in here and say, use the microwave. It is so much easier. I think you'll just end up stressing yourself trying to do a double boiler oven or double boiler method. So Do what I say, not what I do, yet again. But that's what this channel is all about. Learning together, experimenting, and doing fun things in the kitchen. Hey friends, it is the next day and we are back and we are going to check in on our old-fashioned candies. I'm so excited to see how they turned out. I went ahead and I covered it really well just to make sure because I knew I was going to be leaving it for a long time. Okay, so that moisture that we had, it actually stuck to the pan, so I'm not concerned at all about that. It looks like it might have cracked just a little bit, but that won't matter because we're going to be cutting this. And I'm going to try to see if I want to pull it out. Yep, we can just pull it straight out onto our cutting board and move this out of the way. Okay, I have this huge cake knife that won't quite go this all the way across this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find, let's go ahead and flatten that out so we can see what we're doing. Find approximately maybe the halfway point. Doesn't have to be exact. And it is hard. Probably would have been better to cut this last night, but I had plans, so that's okay. And I'll just move that off to the side. And then I'm going to, we want to cut these. Let's see, how do we want to cut this? I'll do in half, half again, and half again, I think. Just kind of making marks on what size I think I want these to be. Looks like you were seeing just mostly my arm anyway. I think you can actually see better from back there. I do think mine is a little stiffer than I remember it being. But like I said, I couldn't cut it last night. But I think we're going to be okay. Okay, now we will see about trying to move the entire mass here. See if I can do that. And we'll start cutting off on the next set of lines. Okay. I am going to cut off a small piece to taste. But I want to show you, look, how you can see the candies all throughout. Isn't that pretty? And it's so much fun. But I'm going to go ahead and do a taste test. They're very good. They're chewy. I do think that the sugar that was on the outside coating of the gummies that we used did slightly change the texture along with the mint that was in on the marshmallows. So if you want that original candy, I would suggest using regular plain mini marshmallows and the Dots candies. But I'm very happy with this. I am going to enjoy packaging this up in cute little packages, wrap them up and roll them, and I can put them in cute little individual packaging, and this would be a great addition to any little gift or cookie or candy tray that you want to share with people. You wouldn't have to wrap them, but this will just kind of keep them fresh, and I don't know, you enjoy doing it however you want. Let me know ideas down below of other things that you might do with a similar type of candy. What kind of jellies or candies would you use or you have used? I mean, I've even heard of people using like gummy worms and cutting those up and sticking there. So let me know if you've done anything like this. Have you been creative and used the flavored marshmallows like I did? I want to know all of it down below in the comments. Let's get a conversation started. And don't forget, this is part of the Cookies and Candies Collaboration. So there's going to be all sorts of candy recipes all week long. And if you have any that you want to share, make sure you tag me, the Inquisitive Farm Wife, and I'll get you added to that playlist so everyone can see your recipe too. Bye for now, friends. See you next time.